Hey guys, what's up? Nick here once again. It's gonna be my full video review on the iPod Touch 6th generation as well as iOS 9 software. So let's get right into it. Now this is the blue and white variant of the iPod Touch 6th generation, and this is the new line that just came out about a few months ago. I think it's about 3 months old now. And I did have a full review of the 5th generation on my channel if you haven't checked that out, and I actually got quite a bit of recognition for that video. A lot of people really liked my review style, they liked my review of the device itself. And then later on in the year, I created a review for iOS 8 using the same device, and again, I got a lot of love for those videos. So I decided, well, why not just jam two of those into one video and make an iOS 9 review as well as a review for the device itself that I'm using the software on. So I do not own an iPhone or an iPad, so I'm not able to do a full review for the mobile version of iOS 9. This is only for the iPod Touch 6th generation, so I apologize. If you want to see a full review with all the extra features that come with mobile and iPads, you'll have to see that in a separate video. But for now, jumping right into it, let's start with the design of the iPod Touch 6th generation. As you can see, it looks just like the old iPod Touch 5th generation. There almost is barely any differences. The only main two differences is one, the camera bump is a lot larger and more extended, as you can see, because it's a lot better of a camera, and I'll get back into that later, as well as they removed the loop or the wrist loop that they had on the old iPod, which I actually did kind of like, even though I never really used it. That's probably the reason they took it away, was to save on manufacturing costs. But it's kind of sad that they took it away, because I did like the idea, and it was really unique for iPods around, so that kind of stinks that they took that away. Going around the bottom, we still have the lightning connector, which is for charging and syncing, as well as a 3.5mm headphone jack, and then the speaker grill. So yes, it still does have a speaker, no worries there. On the left side, we have the volume rocker, and on the right side, virtually nothing. And on the top, we just have the power/sleep/wake button. So pretty much all the exact same as the iPod Touch 5th generation. Not a huge difference. The biggest difference is what's on the inside and the cameras. Those are the two biggest things they changed with the new iPod line. Now I pulled up some specifications of the product here on Apple's website. So the new iPod Touch 6th generation comes in 4 different capacities. We got the 16GB model, the 32GB model, 64GB model, and the 128GB model. It's still housing a Retina display at 4 inches diagonal, and is now housing an A8 chip inside, so it's the same chip that was in the iPhone 6. It also has 64-bit processing, so you're going to be able to use all the newest apps with it, which is really nice. And now it's housing the 8-megapixel rear-facing camera, as well as a 1.2 front-facing HD FaceTime camera. Now, apparently the back camera, which has 8 megapixels, is supposedly supposed to be the same camera as used on the iPhone 6. Now, in everyday testing, I would agree that it is just as good as the iPhone 6 camera, but there's no way that's the same exact sensor. And I will get to that later in the camera part of the review. Other than that, everything else is basically the same. We got the same 802.11 Wi-Fi bands, Bluetooth, MP3, AAC, audio playback, you name it, TV and video recording. Everything that you can think of is going to be the same in the specifications. I just wanted to get over the processor and the cameras. So basically, that's what's new with the new iPod Touch 6th generation, is what's inside. So now let's look at the actual software of the device. Now this is running, like I said, iOS 9 off the bat. Out of the box, you will be getting the newest update to iOS 9 right now, which is really nice if you're using a new iPod Touch 6th generation. So one of the first new features is that Siri has been updated a lot, both with looks and the way she runs. So as you can see, we got a new kind of very futuristic wavelength down here that shows when I'm talking. As you can see, it's recording everything I'm doing, but it's very cool, and I like the new look of it. And she's a lot more fluid. She understands you a lot easier, and she sounds a lot cooler as well. So let's do a little test here. Hello, Siri.
Hi there.
How are you today?
I feel good.
I'm glad to hear it. How is the weather doing?
Today, the temperature will range between 32 degrees and 46 degrees. Well, it looks like a pretty mixed bag tomorrow through November 15th, 2015, with a high of 59 degrees and a low of 30 degrees.
So as you can see, even though I'm probably sure you couldn't hear that very well, but as you can see, it's a lot more fluent. She acts like an actual person and an assistant, which is really nice. It's not as robotic as it was in the past, so I do really love the new updates to Siri. Another new update is if you swipe down from anywhere on the screen here, we get greeted with the search bar like as in usual, but we also get the Siri app suggestions. These are kind of like your most recent apps, or the most that you're common to use. I like this. It's really nice. It's a really fast and easy way to get to apps if you have a ton in folders and stuff like that. If you don't want to have to scroll through all of your apps to find a certain one that you use on a daily basis. I do like that and enjoy that feature. Same thing can be found if you swipe to the left. Same thing with the search bar again. But now you'll be added with some extra features like the nearby. So you can go right into diners, bars, shopping, gas stations, and then some local news. So I do like this. It's kind of like HTC's Blink feed in a little way. But in the same sense, it's Apple's own way of doing their own thing. And I do like the look of it. And it's really cool that they added it with iOS 9. Overall, iOS 9 has had a lot of improvements with stability, animations, you name it. Also, the look looks a lot different as well. It looks just like iOS 8 over iOS 7, so there wasn't really a huge overhaul in the looks department, but they did change some things like in the music app here. So if I go back to the main screen, you will see that it has a pretty big overhaul look here. So they changed it between library and playlists only. And then on the bottom here, we have For You, New, Radio, which is the iTunes radio, and then Connect, which essentially just shows all the live stream, kind of like going with your favorite artists, so you can look at them on Twitter and stuff like that with social media. Not really anything that I think is going to stand out or really be used all that often. I really wish they would have kept it more of separating two separate apps. You know, have an app for the iTunes radio and all this fun stuff, and then have a separate app just for your music with your iPod. I don't like that they really jammed all this together and they made it all into one kind of party. Because people like me, especially, I don't ever use iTunes radio. I use Pandora or Spotify if I want to use internet-based radio systems, or I use the actual CDs that I've purchased over the years and put onto my iPod that I want to listen to. And it's really annoying having to jump in here, go into library and playlists, and not being able to sort it by artist or by song anymore, except for if you scroll down here, we have artists, and then you have to click here and then go into albums or songs. They just made it a lot more of a hassle, a lot more extra steps than in the past when you could have everything on the bottom and it was a lot more fluid. There is still a search bar up here though, so if you want to search an artist real quick, you can do that, which is nice. But again, I wish they would have not made it look so clunky and all smashed together. But overall, the user interface is very fluid. It runs very well. I haven't had it crash on me at all. Sound quality, again, is just top notch with iPods. I mean, it's the best sound quality you're going to get probably on the market for on-the-go sound quality. Going into actually playing a song here, if we were to go into a song, one of the things that kind of annoys me, as you can see when I play a song here, if I go back into there, it'll start playing, but it won't bring it up. It won't show the album art or anything. You'll see down here in the bottom, it shows the name of the song, the album, and what's going on, and if it's play or paused, but it doesn't actually bring it up automatically to show you everything that's going on. You have to actually tap down here, and then you'll be brought to the album art, your play, pause, skip track, if you want to favorite it, volume controls, shuffle controls, repeat. All that stuff is right down there. It's kind of annoying that they mixed that up and they didn't have it so it's an automatic response. I don't like all these extra gestures that they did with the music app. So overall, I'm not very happy with the new overlay of the music app for iOS 9. One little cool thing that they added with iOS 9 is that you can now search within the settings app. So if you slide it down, you can see now we have a settings search bar. You can type for anything you like. You can find it really fast. In the past, a lot of people had issues with not being able to find a certain setting in iOS, but now you can do it fast and easily. One of the biggest new improvements, this is one of my favorites, is battery life improvements. Now, personally, in the past, I believe that iPods themselves never had an issue with battery life. It's always been iPhones and iPads that have had issues with battery life. And coming from a person that's never really had an iPhone, I've had a few iPhones in the past for like 6 months at the most. I've never had one for an entire 2-year cycle. So I can't really say that I've had horrible battery life with them. But coming from other personal experience and people that I know in my life that have iPhones, they hate the battery life. So iOS 9 supposedly has fixed battery life a tenfold. They've really dumbed down a lot of the background processes to make your battery life last twice as long. And with the iPod, it's no exception. I mean, the battery life lasts, if not 4 days on a single charge, depending on normal usage. Now, I don't really watch movies on here. I don't really web browse all that much. I use Facebook and Twitter every now and then, but I'm mostly just using this for music playback. And if that's what you're going to be using an iPod for, then it's going to last you a good solid 3 or 4 days on a single charge, which is really nice. And if you're an iPod user, you're going to have accessories like I do that charge it from almost everything. My car charges it, my radio charges it, you name it. So you're never going to run out of battery life. But it is nice that iOS is integrating new battery saving technology. so that if you were to run out of battery or not have anything to charge it with you, you're not going to be out of luck, and your battery should last you a good 3 or 4 days on a single charge. One cool thing they added under settings is the new battery mode area. So if you go into here, you can see your battery usage from all your apps and to see what to start turning off to save more battery life. Also, it shows what's being used in standby mode and your overall usage on the battery since the last time you charged it. I love that iOS finally integrated this after Android has had it for years. And now they added on the iPhones and iPads that there's actually a battery saving option. Sadly, it's not on the iPod, but maybe they'll add it in a new update, who knows. But essentially, it's just a battery saving option so that once you get to a certain percentage, you'll start turning off certain functions to save your battery for even longer time. Now, this one isn't very important for iPod users, but for iPhone users, with iOS 9, they've improved the keyboard a ton. One quick little thing is that when you have it in all caps now, you can see the actual text becomes all capitalized, when in the past it never did that, so that's really cool. So you can actually see if you're capitalizing in a letter or not, as well as just major improvements with fluidity, and the number or the word prediction is all fixed as well. So that's really nice that they've fixed all that, and that now you can actually send full text messages with only one hand and not have as many typos or auto corrections that are horribly bad. One thing off the bat, when I started using iOS 9, a big feature I noticed is that the recent apps screen looks completely different from iOS 8. If you remembered, you double click the home button and it would look just like how it was on iOS 7. You'd have even your recent contacts up on the top here, but it looks like they took all that features away because a lot of people never used it. I do like this look. It looks very cool and very fluid. The only thing that I wish they would add is a delete all or a erase all button, so you don't have to individually swipe away apps when not in use. It's just one of those things, again, that's kind of annoying that Apple needs to work on, but it looks very nice, it's very fluid, and overall it's appealing, so I guess that's all that matters. Another thing that people are going to be happy about is Newsstand is now completely gone. They got rid of the app, so you're not going to have to be burdened with any of that already installed on the device that you cannot get rid of. So that's pretty cool. They got rid of that because nobody ever used it, including myself. As well as up in the notification center, they have updated a few things. It does look about the same as in iOS 7, and it runs about the same from iOS 7. But if you go to edit down here under the Today tab, you can actually add a lot more than in the past. So as you can see, you can now add traffic conditions, finding friends, IMB, nearby transit with GPS from Google, stocks, and then tomorrow summary. And now, depending on what apps you download from the iOS store, more and more options will fill this area over time as well that will be able to be used in your notifications area. I do like they're integrating more to this, and it makes me actually want to use the notification center when in the past I never really touched it because there was never a huge need for me to do so. Now getting back into the camera, I just want to show a few little features of it. Even on the iPod, they added the video at 1080p mode, slow motion mode, and time lapse, so you can actually make things go really fast. So I'm not going to be able to show you much of the slow-mo or the time-lapse or the video quality for that matter, because it's going to be a pretty long video if I do. But for the photo quality, I gotta say, and for a device that is this small that can fit in the palm of your hand and fit in any pocket, I gotta say, the camera is outstanding for this size. Now, I'm not going to say that I believe that this is actually the same sensor that's in an iPhone 6. I just cannot believe that, because the iPhone 6 has an amazing sensor, amazing low light, and a really good photography overall, where this one I felt kind of lacked in the color representation. It looked a lot more neutral than anything. It wasn't saturated very much, and in low light it kind of suffered. I actually had to turn the flash on, but it does have a built-in flash, so you're not lost there either. So for its size and the portability of this device, I'm not going to degrade the camera at all. For what it is, it's a very nice camera, and you can definitely use it for Instagram, Snapchat, or any other type of social media. It's going to take just fine photos for that if you don't have your phone on you, or if you for some reason don't have a very nice smartphone. This will definitely take the place of that smartphone camera any day. And overall, the screen quality, I should say, is that it's basically the same as last year's iPod Touch 5th generation model. It's still great. It's nowhere near a Quad HD display that you see on the new smartphones nowadays, but it still is very gorgeous. The colors are very poppy, and overall it looks very good. It doesn't get warm in the hand either. I was kind of worried about that after hearing that the new A8 chip is in there, but I haven't had any overheating issues. Nothing heats up in the hand, and I don't have a case on it either. I've been astonished over the performance of the device, as well as the ability to not heat up over time as well is a very, very nice feature. And it also keeps up with every app that I've ever used, jumping between them, having them running in the background. This is a very, very fast device, and it's definitely the fastest iPod ever made, and it'll definitely last for years to come. I can definitely see this running with all the newest apps coming out, especially with the 64-bit architecture running in the processor. This is by far my favorite iPod ever made to this date. It runs fluidly, it looks really nice, it's a very slim, extremely slim and light, doesn't overheat in the hand. Music quality is very good, still has a nice speakerphone that's pretty bassy. Does get a little bit tinny at time though if you have it very loud, and a very nice camera that pretty much takes the place of any smartphone camera out on the market today. So that's pretty much it, my full review of iOS 9 as well as the iPod Touch 6th generation. I hope you enjoyed my full video review, guys. Please leave a like to show your support as always, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace.